Hello, 6th grade Bobcats. Welcome back to what I hope will be another great week for you here at the Helena Middle School. On today's B.O.B Lesson, going to kind of dive in a little bit into interpersonal stuff, how we get along with other people. Specifically today, going to be talking about accepting our differences and acknowledging the fact that fortunately we are all very different from one another. Yes, we have a lot of things in common, but we also have a lot of important differences that make us unique and make us different and make us our own people, and how that is a very, very, very good thing. Because as I'll point out here, we wouldn't want to be rolling around all looking like clones of one another. That would be weird. So let's get rock and roll on this B.O.B lesson. Hope you guys take this in and enjoy it, and I hope you guys have a great week. All right, we are on a B.O.B lesson, accepting our differences. But first, let's be our best this week at HMS. Let's be safe, let's be responsible, let's be respectful, and let's be a learner. All right, let's think outside the box here for a moment. Some of you may notice this picture that is kind of blurry. I apologize. From a popular book that I know first came out when myself and many of your teachers were growing up. It's the Where's Waldo? And this book was about trying to find Waldo in a picture full of a bunch of different stuff, and you would go from page to page, and it was like trying to find a needle in a haystack, if you will. Well, they had one that was try to find Waldo in the land of Waldos, and the objective of that one was to try to find the Waldo that was missing a shoe. And why am I bringing this up today? I know that we are not in grade school anymore. Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is I want you guys to think about, what if our world, what if our school was a bunch of Waldos running around and we all look the same, we all act the same, we all dress the same. I want us to think about that for a moment and think about how boring that would be. First of all, you wouldn't know who was who. You couldn't identify one another from one another, so that would be a little bit crazy. But also, we wouldn't have a sense of individualism. We wouldn't have a sense of being our own selves. We would all be clones of one another. And as human beings, we're so lucky that there's 6 billion plus people on the earth, and not one of us are the same. So I want you guys to think about that as we continue on with this B.O.B lesson. We should really appreciate the fact that we are all different and we are all unique. We don't all have to be the same. If you think about the history of our country, which some of you may be learning in social studies, with the exception of the Native Americans, all of us are immigrants and migrated from somewhere else in the world to the United States. The United States is a melting pot of different ethnicities, a melting pot of people from different parts of the world, different cultures, and we all come together to be really a unique country. And Helena Middle School is no different. We have kids from different ethnicities, kids from out of town, kids that have grown up here their whole lives, and that's what makes HMS so awesome. And we don't all have to be the same. I love how diverse this school is. I love how we have so many different types of students, and I believe that makes this place, HMS, really an awesome place. We don't all have to think the same. As you guys get older, I really encourage you to think for yourselves. Take the information that you learn. Don't just be a robot and process the information and regurgitate it. Take in that information. Think for yourself. I think that becomes so much more important from here on out as we get older, to develop the ability to think for yourself. We don't all have to act the same. We have a school full of a ton of different personalities, people with different viewpoints, people that are introverted, people that are extroverted, people that have lots of different interests, and that's okay. We don't all have to act the same way. We don't all have to talk the same way. Some of us talk in slang more than others. Some of us talk more quietly. Some of us are more loud and gregarious. We don't all have to talk the same, and that's a good thing. We don't all have to dress the same. You look around and you got people dressing in all sorts of different ways. That's what's awesome about being here. If you were at a private school, you may have to dress in the same uniform. And here we don't have to. We get to dress whatever way we want as long as it's within the school code. We have that freedom of expression. We don't all have to believe in the same things, and this is really important, whether it's religion or politics or or even which football team you like, or whatever it may be. You get to form your own beliefs as we get older and we start to learn more about the world and learn more about life and learn more about people and learn more about the society. We start forming our own beliefs, and we don't have to have the same beliefs as other people, and that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us awesome. We have the right to be ourselves. That's one of the great liberties and great freedoms of being a United States citizen, is we get to be exactly who we are, as long as we are following the rules and staying within the guidelines of not hurting other people, and following the rules and the laws. We get to be exactly who we are. If you want to be a scientist, you have every opportunity to be in school, to go work hard and be a scientist. If you want to be a doctor, you can be a doctor. If you want to be a lawyer, you can be a lawyer. You can be whatever it is you want to be, and I'm such a firm believer in that. And education is the great equalizer. You guys are here in school today, and those of you that are here busting your butts every day and taking advantage of your free education, working towards whatever it is you want to be. Maybe you don't even know what it is you want to be yet. That's what's great about this school and about this country, is we get to be ourselves. Finally, we know that our differences make us interesting and unique. And I want to talk about this for a minute, because I have kids come into my room that say, I feel different, or I'm different, I don't fit in. Well, if you think about it, what's the difference between the word different and the word unique? The word different kind of has a negative connotation of it. You don't want to be different. But people want to be unique, right? Being unique is a good thing. And let's sit down and think for a second that it's basically the same thing. Being different, being unique, standing out, that's awesome. That's what you want to shoot for. You want to be exactly who you are. There are no two people in this 6 billion plus world that are alike. We were born, we were created to be different, and we were created to be who we are. And finally, we treat each other with respect, and that's what this is all about, folks. Out of all the universals, I think probably the most important one, in my opinion, is be respectful. There's nowhere in life that you can go where you can't not be respectful. You've got to be respectful. If you are respectful, it'll get you so far in life with other people. If you are disrespectful, it's really going to be an uphill battle. So I saw this picture on social media the other week, and I thought it would fit in perfectly with this B.O.B lesson. And if you want to read along with me, it says, all I see are all these different types of people telling other different types of people about how they should live their lives, when they really don't know what's going on in their own lives. And I think it's so true that virtually every single student in this school has some insecurities and is trying to figure out who they are and what they're about and where they fit in, and what their style is, or who they're going to become, or what their identity is. And there was a psychologist named Erik Erikson who had this psychosocial theory of development, and it totally makes sense, because what he says is, from age 12 to 19, the primary objective for human beings is trying to figure out, who am I, and answer that question. And that's one of the things I love about middle school kids, is this stuff starts going on where they're trying to figure out who they are. And when people are trying to figure out who they are and they have those insecurities, sometimes they compare themselves to others, or try to be like other people, or are judgmental when somebody is different than them. And I think the root of that is really in insecurity and feeling insecure, when really everybody is trying to figure out, everybody is partaking in the same growth and the same evolving and the same struggle. Even as adults, we're constantly trying to figure out who we are as we become older and get going. So keep that in mind when we feel like we want to be judgmental towards other people, and when we feel maybe a little bit insecure about not knowing what's going on in our own lives and trying to figure our own lives out. That brings us to this week's quote of the week, which is, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. And I think it's so critical in life, if we can stay focused on being the best version of ourself. I think it's going to lead to a lot of happiness, and that's where our minds should be. All right, this week's Jellybean Question of the Week winners are Anna Sanchez, Taya Munden, and Broadwood Manzi, I suppose, ladies. Andrew Fields, Garrett Hine, and Peter Lashinsky. The answer to last week's Jellybean Question of the Week was roommates, of course. This week's Jellybean Question of the Week is, I start with the letter M and end with X and have never-ending amount of letters. What am I? If you think you know, submit your answer to the B.O.B box no later than Friday. Tune in next week to see if you are a winner. All right, Bobcats, let's make it a great week at the Helena Middle School.